Hi, guys. Welcome to my podcast where the raw and the real collide. In today's episode, I'm going to be stepping into the depths of my own journey, peeling back the layers of my past and confronting the shadows of my parents' addictions. So this is deeply personal. This is a story of resilience and growth and the intricate dance between love and struggle. So this is Betty and I'm your host. So let's dive in. I've been very open with you guys. This is what this podcast is all about. I'm just telling you my story. And there's, you've heard about the people that I've lost. That I've lost my dad when I was younger. And I'm sure I mentioned that I lived with my grandparents when I was a kid. So basically, let's just rewind. The year, it's circa 1991. My parents are very in love. And of course, my mom ends up being pregnant. She was 16 when she had me. So when I was born, my mom was 16. My mom is very young, and obviously, my grandma was there for her. She was very in love with my dad. I guess they were like best friends. They lived in the same neighborhood, maybe like a street away, like a block away. And so my mom got pregnant. They wanted to get married, which my grandma said no. She said, you guys are too young. You don't know. If you really want to get married, you're not just going to get married because you're having a kid, which is a lesson that I took. I ripped that page out of her book and I applied that. And I always said, I'm not getting married when I'm pregnant, or because I got pregnant. That's not a reason to get married. I'm a believer that marriage is more than just that. But, so my grandma told them, no, you cannot get married. And of course, you can come and visit your daughter. She told my dad, she talked to my other grandma, his mom. His dad and mom were not together. So he lived with his mom and with his two brothers. So I got to go to his house every so often. It was very close. I could just go there. But so this is sorry, I'm struggling a little bit. Just the memories are quite a lot. So my mom and dad did not get married. And then, as I was growing up, they realized that they didn't even belong together. So in Mexico, as soon as you turn 18, you're legal in the country to go drink and do things, whatever. So there was this one time where my mom, she went out drinking. She was probably around 19, and she came back. I remember because I was like 3 years old. And I got out of my bedroom, well, mine and hers, because we lived in my grandma's house, which only had 2 bedrooms. So me and my mom would sleep in the same bedroom, and then my grandma and grandpa in their bedroom. By then, it was just us. And I'm the oldest, so there was no other siblings. And then my mom came back. I remember I left my room and my mom was drunk and I was crying because I was like, I don't know, probably said something like, where were you? Or like, just, I don't know. I started crying. And then she said, no, I remember now. So I said, Mom. And she said, I'm not your mom. I found you in a shoebox in the trash. So that's, quite a memory that a 3-year-old has. At that moment, it was like weird. So my grandma got out of her room and she's like, that's not true. What is wrong with you? Like, she told me, like, don't listen to your mom. She's not well. And then she yelled at my mom for saying those things because, we were always raised to love each other no matter what. Like, if you're gonna get drunk, do your thing, but don't be saying dumb things to your daughter, like making her feel like you don't love her. And I understood, I understand. She probably felt like I stole her youth. Like, she's supposed to be young and free and doing her things and growing up and going to college, and instead she had to be my mom. Which is, not an excuse for her. And I don't know. It's just that, like, I had that one memory. Like I said, I've never held any grudges against my mom. Because I get where she came from. The life we had, it was just hard. And then, my dad wasn't there. So it was not like, I don't know. And then they weren't together anymore. So I don't know what she was going through. I don't even know when they broke up. I was just too young to know. So yeah. And then later, when I was 7, when I was 5, my sister Andrea was born. And when I was 6 or 7, my mom met my stepdad, who is the father of 2 of my other siblings. And he adopted my sister as well as his own, which I really appreciated. My mom went to live with him, and he was a nice guy. He was a good guy. He took care of us. He took care of my grandparents. He took care of me. He gave my grandpa a car so that he could take me to school because we didn't have a car. And then we used to have dinner every Sunday. Like, we would go out and have dinner with them. And then I would stay some weekends with my mom, in her new house and all that. It's just, I never wanted to leave my house. So, there was one time that somebody came to pick me up at school. I think it was one of my parents' friends. And then they asked me, where do you want to go, with your mom or your dad? And I was like, well, aren't they together? Like, I knew, I probably was like 9. And like, I knew they were not together. But still, there was something in me that were like, what do you mean? It was just weird. Like, I've always known, but it was just weird. So I said, okay, I want to go with my mom. So he took me to my mom's house, one of her houses. She was living in a house first, and then they moved to a better house. And, I would go there. I would go to, my dad had to move too from, I guess they lost the house. My grandma lost the house. They couldn't pay. So they had to go live with my great grandma. And, well, that was like farther away. That was like probably like 20 minutes, a 20-minute drive from my house. And, I would go there as well. Not like every weekend or anything. Just like every so often. And I would play with my cousins. And, I had people there. There was a park. And I don't know. It just felt like like the rebellious area, but also like the house was even less taken care of. Like, again, my family was not rich or anything. We just were humble. And then the house where my great grandma lived, it was like dark and woody, and like it had like an old stove where you had to heat up the water to use the shower. And I don't know, it was just like, I remember there was this stairs going up where one of my uncles used to live. I don't know, it was like crazy. And there was like this hallway, everything just seemed so dark. Just there's this hallway, and then, you know, there was this like bed right there, or I don't know. It's just the memories that I have, they're just so weird. The way I remember things, as far as that house, it's just very dark. Not like creepy, but maybe. Or it was just more like sad, like, I don't know, there wasn't a lot of happiness spreading out like it was in my house, which is another reason why I never wanted to go live with my mom when she moved, because my house reminded me of happiness. It still does. My grandparents' house, it's always been my home, and I said I'm never gonna move out of here, and of course I did, right? I was basically kicked out of there. Well, not really. People move on and realize that maybe they don't need to be stuck in the one place they thought they were supposed to be, because people need to grow, people need to advance. So at this point, I am about, 9. I was 11 the last time I saw my dad. He came, brought me a gift for something. I went outside and I hugged him, and that's the last memory I've had of him. Or more like, I want to say the only memory. I'm not really sure. So that's just what I remember. But, as we get older, memories get blurrier. So I was, I was like 11. So by this, you're making sense of the things that happen in your life. So you like see things and they don't just connect at that moment, but then later in life when you remember them, they connect. So I guess my dad, he was, I don't know if he was very heavily into like street drugs, or I don't know what his drug of choice was. Honestly, I don't know if maybe he only smoked weed, or if he just drank. I never saw him drunk, so maybe he was doing other stuff. I don't know. I just know that he had issues with that. When he passed, I got the death certificate, as basically the child leaving the rain, what do you call, next to kin. Obviously my grandma, but they wanted me to have all his things because I was to him like the most precious thing. I might have not remember a lot of things, but at least I don't remember any bad things. I don't have any bad memories. I don't have any memories of him doing bad stuff, or he was never doing it around me. And that's probably another reason why he wasn't around that much. Maybe, if he was doing anything, my family was shielding me from seeing that. Like, no, you're not going to see her in this day. You're not going to, show up here like that, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I never asked questions about that. It's just my family. It's a don't ask, don't tell kind of thing. So I knew that he had issues. And then when I was growing up, I was 12, 13, and my aunts and uncles will bring me gifts and say, oh, this is from your dad. And I'm like, oh, well, why didn't he come? oh, well, he was busy. And I know that those gifts were not from my dad. Like, he probably didn't even have money to buy me gifts or anything. Whatever he had, he was probably spending and whatever. Which it was, it was not bad. I did kind of I guess, held a grudge against him for a little bit because I remember when he passed, when I was around 15, 16 when he passed, and I was struggling, and I told one of my friends that I guess he's like, why are you feeling so bad? I'm like, because that's my dad. He's like, yeah, but you said you wouldn't care. But those are things that teenagers say. Of course I would say, oh, I wouldn't care because he doesn't care about me. But I don't really remember those feelings of he doesn't care. I don't remember me saying I wouldn't care. Because that's not true. I'm a person that cares too much. I care too much, right? So, he passed. It was a crazy funeral. My grandpa paid for a silly casket. I don't think they put a lot of effort. So again, on the death certificate, it said that he had, I don't know, something about a stomach issue, something had ruptured in his stomach. I don't know. It was something weird. I don't have it with me at the moment. I do have it in the house, but I don't know exactly how to describe that, I guess. The actual main reason, it was actually, it said in there, drug intoxication, or maybe an overdose. It wasn't in an overdose, he died from overdose, but it was he probably had a lot of heavy drugs, or a lot of drugs, or a lot of alcohol, a lot of something in his system that affected his stomach or whatever. And then that was the cause. But they didn't list the drugs as the main reason, as the cause of death, because they didn't want to get into the whole, when when there's drugs involved, they have to bring in the police, and they have to, the autopsy takes longer because they have to investigate it and all that stuff. So the hospital just put that the main reason was, that the thing in his stomach, and then secondary reason, which is the use of drugs. So, he died doing that. I know he was in the hospital, but I don't know if they found him on the street or something. I honestly don't remember a lot of those details anymore, or if I even knew them, or if I just blocked them because I don't want to have those bad memories. I still miss my dad. Even if I didn't see him much, I feel like everyone needs a dad. But yeah, he had his issues. So, if we go a little bit back, when I was 12, my stepdad passed. So my mom had to move back with us. She still had her house, but she needed, a source of income. So she was renting the house she had as income. And then she was living with us and my grandparents. My grandma, she wasn't there much anymore. And then by the time I was 14, my grandpa passed. So, like I said, she didn't have a lot of drinking issues or anything when she was with my stepdad. Then after that, when I was more, I was older, because I remember, for her birthday, I remember her drinking. When my past died, I'm sorry, when my when my dad passed. And later in life, it was I was 17, 18. I don't know, I think that's probably when I remember more, 16, 17, 18. She was always out. Yeah, even since I was 15, she was always out at clubs. So at 15, she was 31? I thought she was so old, but I mean, that's That's my age, and I feel like I'm still allowed to go out. But I don't go clubbing, and I don't go to places where young people go because that's just weird. So, I don't know. She was, I guess, hanging out with a friend that they would just go out and, go places where there was young people or whatever. And, she would come back. I don't remember her coming back drunk or anything. I just remember in the morning, she was all hungover, like, don't talk to me, don't make noises, blah, blah, blah. So 16, 17, 18, at some point, I think a lot of my siblings remember that it's not that we didn't have food, but we didn't have, like, protein. So we had, my mom would leave stuff there for us to eat, and it was just potatoes, tomatoes, and onions. And it's like we were supposed to make something with that. So, when you make, like, some meat, you put in, like, little squares, and then you add potatoes, tomatoes, onions. Well, we do that, right? Well, for us, it was just the potatoes, tomatoes, and onions. That's what we were supposed to eat. There was no meat because my mom said, there's not enough money. But then I would go in the fridge, and there was, like, this 24-pack of beer that she was going to use for, her drinking, her and her friend or whoever was going to drink with her. Which is pretty sad, because it was like you're really giving up on that stuff. Like, we have to... It's not like we will malnourish or anything. And also, my aunt used to live like a block away too, so if anything we could just go there. But I guess I want to say that she had a problem maybe. She was drinking. I don't know. I guess we all have issues. Like, I get it now because, I have my glass of wine every once in a while. But the fact that she would rather have that than have us had food, it was kind of like odd to me. And, she kept drinking. I got older and I would, like, buy food for the house, buy food for my siblings, take them out to eat when I had money and, when I had a job. I remember the last time when Carolina's dad was there, and he even brought some beer for my mom because, he knew that she liked to drink, and they were outside of the house drinking. Not him, like her, my mom and her friend. They were outside drinking, and, they were just talking, whatever. And I remember that she was drinking, and then we found that she was pregnant. So she was about maybe 2-3 months pregnant when she was still drinking. But I think it's because she didn't know. Because we didn't find out that she was pregnant until she was like, 5-6 months along. So she didn't know she was pregnant. She was in her late 30s. And I think that's when she stopped drinking. Because, my sister, she's good and everything. My mom had some issues with her pregnancy. So I think that's, when everything, like, came onto light. And then I got pregnant. So she's like, whoa, I'm about to be a grandma. Maybe she thought, now it's time to grow up. So I feel like I grew up around a lot of things, not like, like you see in the movies, like, oh my God, drugs and alcohol everywhere. But there's some things that just mark you and define how your path's gonna be. And I feel like this defined a lot of how I was gonna be, especially because my mom would, like, get drunk and yell at us, and I don't know, it was just weird and difficult. And I never wanted to do that with my daughter, which I've never done, She's seen me drink a glass of wine or whatever, but usually I'm very happy around her. She makes me very happy. I hug her. I tell her I love her. Never, ever do I get upset with her because I've been drinking. That's not a thing. And I don't think that's a thing that should be passed on to our children. You know, if maybe some of you guys have had any stories that are similar to mine. You know, maybe your dad drank too much, your mom drank too much. I know this story doesn't sound like, oh my God, this was so, but it's just, I'm trying to like compress it because I feel like it was just too much. You know, my mom wouldn't even let me go out because I had to stay home and take care of my siblings because she had to go out. So there was a lot of things that I had to do, that I had to suffer because of her problem. I didn't even know if it was a problem or not. And then with my dad, it was the same. Like, he wouldn't be there because, you know, he was busy doing whatever or being with whomever. And, you know, I do want to say that I had a very happy childhood. I was a very happy child, but I did have to grow up on my own. I had to like teach myself things and learn how to do. I was basically self-made. Whoever I am right now, it's because I learned from what I lived, and I said, this has to be better. My life has to be better, and I'm gonna make it better. And I did. So I'm very proud of that. But it's just like one of those things, you know, that follow you around, and then you remember, you know, the one time your mom got too drunk and told you that she wasn't your mom, or she told you that she found you in the trash in a shoebox, or, you know, when your family starts bringing you gifts saying they're from your dad, but they're not. I just feel like there's things that we just need to get out there so that we can heal. I've healed from all those issues. Honestly, it's just hard to remember, I guess. I just try to like not think about those things because it'll make me sad. But more than anything, I don't get sad because of what they made, because I miss them, you know, because of whatever they did. It's in the past. They were young, they were dumb, and I get it. We're all young and dumb at some point. But, you know, I hold no grudges. But I just wanted to tell you guys the story because I was really thinking about it this week, and I thought it was, you know, about time you guys knew that I didn't came from a bed of roses or anything, obviously. But do know that I did have a very happy childhood, and I do want my daughter to have a happy childhood, and I just want to put it out there once again, like in every one of my episodes, that you're not alone. There's always someone there that can listen to you. You know, just confide in your friends, confide in someone, a stranger, whoever. Tell your story. Don't keep it inside. Don't bottom up your emotions, because they will literally hurt you if you just keep them inside. So I wanted to make this episode number 20, you know, a special one. I guess it wasn't a special, but here's my story. And I hope you guys have enjoyed some of what I've told you. And I hope you keep coming back and listening to my stories. I'll see you on the next one. Mwah. Love you guys.